Hey, friends, welcome back to the Cheer Theory podcast where positivity isn't just a buzzword, it's our way of life and our practice. And y'all, I'm your host, Bella. Hi, nice to meet you. I am so beyond excited to deep dive into this second episode, you guys. This is a topic that is so near and dear to my heart, something that I've been struggling with personally since I was 10 years old. So, with that being said, we specialize in flipping the script and changing your mindset on some of the most difficult topics and things to wrap our brains around. Now, let me ask you a question. What if I told you the very thing that you probably think is holding you back the most in life, the thing that causes you the most trouble, the most concern, and the most worry is actually your biggest hidden superpower? What if I said that? I know it sounds wild and I know it sounds crazy. And I know it's like, wait, if it's causing me that much worry, why would this be my superpower? But y'all, anxiety. It doesn't just feel like this negative pit in your stomach. Anxiety and the meaning behind it and why you have it is literally the most powerful emotion you can hold. Genuinely. It may feel uncomfortable, it may be heavy, and sometimes even embarrassing. But the thing is, you're not alone. The CDC says that 1 in 5 Americans alone struggle with anxiety on a daily basis, and they live through anxiety on a daily basis. Y'all, not to mention that globally, there's over 300 million people that suffer through anxiety on a daily basis. But that's the thing, is are we suffering or is it just a way of life that we need to learn how to live through and change with? Y'all, when I tell you that when I flipped my mindset on my anxiety and I started to look at it in a whole different way, in the way I'm about to teach you, it changed everything for me. The world felt so much lighter. My shoulders sat so much lower. I was so much more relaxed. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to reframe anxiety together because we are going to stop telling ourselves that it's a curse. And instead, we're going to start seeing it for what it truly is: a signal, a source of strength, and honestly, one of the greatest superpowers you've ever been given. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and redefine the story of anxiety and what it truly means. And what we've been told in the past is that anxiety is weakness. Anxiety means something's wrong with you. Anxiety is something you need to get rid of. Anxiety is full of worry. Anxiety is full of negative emotions. You have anxiety because you're not strong enough to live through the tough times. Y'all, that is so far from the truth. So far from the truth. Anxiety is not a flaw, my friends. It's actually biology. It's your survival mechanism that your body innately has. Okay? It's your body's way of saying, hey, pay attention. Something here matters. There's a reason I'm worried, and I truly care. Thinking of anxiety as your brain's overprotective best friend, right? You know, the one that sends you 27 text messages when you don't answer after a period of time because they're super worried that you lost your phone, or you got kidnapped, or you're lying dead at the bottom of your stairs by a crazy axe murderer that got you. No, guys, a no. Anxiety, it's annoying, yes. But at the root of it, it's loving and protective, and you're trying to help. So let me put this into perspective, okay? So here's the thing. Those of us with anxiety, those of us that struggle to fight through it on a daily basis, what you don't realize, anxiety is the largest tall tale sign that you are one of the most caring individuals on this planet. Because you know what? You wouldn't have anxiety if you didn't care so much. You wouldn't be filled with so much worry of something not going the way you wanted or getting the results you were wishing for if you did not care so much. It is a direct sign of a high level of caring, of a level of caring that is so strong that you're so scared that you will lose it. So, here, back to the reframing. I want you to take this with me. Anxiety is data, it's not judgment, it's not shame, it's just information. Straight up, that's what it is. It's data about what matters to you: places, things, people, events, everything, right? It's data about your environment, the environment you sit in, the environment you live in, the house that you're in, the car that you do or do not have, right? It's all of those things. And it's the data about your capacity to handle challenges. Here's the thing: just because it is data does not mean it's a weakness. It does not mean it's a weakness. It means you care so much about those things, so much that it's debilitating. Do you know how big of a blessing it is to be an empathetic person, to hold compassion, to hold the level of care that is so strong that you are just so worried of losing it? Y'all, if only more of the world could care as much as those that have anxiety. If only. Think about it. We would be in a totally different place if people just took the time to empathize, to show compassion, to show love and caring all of the time. Imagine, imagine that. So let's get even deeper with this one. Because when you reframe anxiety, you start to see that it comes with some incredible hidden strengths. And we're going to break those down. First of all, when we talk about anxiety and we talk about the hidden superpowers of anxiety, here are 5 superpowers anxiety brings to the table every single day. And if you've ever doubted yourself, this is your reminder that you are always equipped with tools most people overlooked. Those of us who see these negative side effects of anxiety, y'all, we're overlooking it. We're looking at it in the most negative way, but genuinely, they're powers. Ready? Number 1, hyper awareness. Those of us with anxiety are extremely aware. Okay. You notice details others miss. You pick up shifts in tone, life changes in a room, the vibe of a conversation. That's not paranoia. It's not paranoia. That's perception, my friends. Okay. Think about it. How many times have you sensed something was off before anyone else did? That's not a weakness. How many times have you got that pit in your stomach because you were like, something's about to happen. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad, but something's about to happen. That's anxiety, but that's not paranoia. It's perception. Think about it. Being hyper aware, okay, and understanding and sensing that something is going to occur is a superpower. It's like telling the future, but in an emotional aspect, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to be good, bad, happy, or sad, but you are emotionally preparing yourself for whatever is about to happen next. And guess what? Your intuition's never wrong. Never wrong. So that's being hyper aware. Hyper awareness is huge and one of the number 1 superpowers with anxiety. Secondly, okay, preparedness. Anxiety loves to make us think 10 steps ahead. Sure, sometimes it spirals. Sometimes we break down. Sometimes we just want to give up when anxiety hits because we don't feel prepared or we don't have enough energy to sit there and fight through the anxiety to better prepare ourselves, right? But we are, okay? It saves us. Maybe you triple checked that you packed everything for a trip, right? And because of that, you didn't forget something that was important. You didn't forget your medications. You didn't forget your toothpaste. You didn't forget the phone charger that you would have regretted as soon as you got on that plane and realized that your phone was at 50% because you were too busy scrolling through TikTok during security, right? That's the thing. With anxiety, you're always prepared. Whether you think you are or you aren't, I promise you, deep down, you are. And you know what? Who cares if you check your suitcase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times? Y'all, you are always prepared. And that feeling of being worried because you want something to go so well, okay? That all streamlines to you being prepared. And it's a power. That is a superpower. Imagine that. Do you know how many people will forget to plug their phone in at night, right? And they're not prepared. Just the average Joe. It happens all the time. You are prepared and you don't even realize it. That's your brain running scenarios to prove that you are ready. Okay? Always. So, superpower number 3 that anxiety holds: empathy and sensitivity. And honestly, this is one of the most powerful ones. And this is one of the ones that all of our anxiety streams from. All of it. When you live with anxiety, you tend to be more tuned in to other people's emotions. You can walk into a room and feel an energy shift within seconds of opening the door. You can tell if there's even one person, if they're mad, if they're happy, if they're sad, and if they're glad, because all it takes is one individual to set the tone in the room, right? You can tell when a friend isn't okay, whether it's them saying, I'm fine, whether it's them giving a slight facial expression that's different than normal, whether it's them having their shoulders slightly higher. It doesn't matter. You can tell. You feel it, and you're sensitive to that. That sensitivity is not a flaw, my friend. It's a superpower that makes you an incredible friend, partner, coach, and leader. You are able to feel every single thing that comes from every single person you love and care about, and even strangers. And honestly, what you'll notice with anxiety is those of us that fight through it are also some of the biggest empaths you'll ever meet in your life. We feel everything. Because those of us that have fought through our big parts and pieces of anxiety during breakdowns and during anxiety attacks, we have felt every emotion there is to feel, which means we can tell the tall tale signs of when they are coming on and when our friend is or is not okay. And we can prepare for that and help them talk through that process. So, empathy and sensitivity. I mean, when I tell you those are so incredibly strong, they are. And that is one thing I will say. And a big takeaway I have for this episode is, y'all, those of us with anxiety have such a severe, high level of empathy and sympathy that is when it starts to hit us. Those of us with anxiety, our level of empathy and just overall sensitivity is through the roof, which some take as a hindrance or a negative factor because sometimes it can consume us if we allow it to. But if we flip our perception and we start to look at that as a blessing in disguise, that we are able to see, acknowledge, and feel every emotion there is to offer, life will begin to change. Trust me, it will. Superpower number 5 that we take in with anxiety is resilience. And if anything, those of us with anxiety, honestly, we feel the least resilient, or so we think on a daily basis. Naturally, if we go off the societal definition and feelings of anxiety, we are going to sit here and tell you, no, we're not resilient. No, we're not. We're crying in a corner. We're in a pit of negativity all the time. We're feeling everything in the most negative way possible, and we're always looking to be anxious. And no, that is the biggest lie I've ever heard. Those of us with anxiety are so resilient. We push through every single day, every day. And out of all of the superpowers we have learned so far in this episode, resilience may be the most powerful one of all. Living with anxiety means you've been carrying a weight on your back every single day since the moment it came about. Okay? And guess what? You still made it this far. You still push through every day. You still decide to touch your feet to that ground and get up. You still decide to pick yourself up when you're down. You still decide to fight through when you don't want to do something because you're scared of the outcome. You still decide to open that new door and try something new. Even though the worry is eating you alive, you know you need to do it. That's resilience. That's resilience. You don't have to make some big scene. You don't have to have a crazy event happen to you where you completely changed your life. The resilience that those of us with anxiety feel on a daily basis is so strong because it is something that we fight 24/7, 365 days a year since the moment we are diagnosed and long before when we first feel that moment of anxiousness. Do you know what level of resilience that has? Do you know how hard that is to develop? All because you did what we think are the little things and you chose to push through every day. Every day. You still made it. You made it this far. You have the grit that every person dreams and wants to achieve. Y'all, you are naturally born with that grit. Those of you that fight through anxiety as much as I do, we may feel weak when anxiety episodes come on and when we have a panic attack. But the grit you have to keep fighting and the resilience you portray is immensible, my friends. It is. And that's strength. That's creativity and coping. You are proof that even carrying heavy emotions, you carry them with strength, with dignity, and with a smile on your face. And you keep showing up every day. That's not weakness. That's the superhero level of resilience that you portray. And the strongest characteristic you have when it comes to holding that title of having anxiety. So let me ask you, of these and in general, what's one anxious trait you've been shaming yourself for? Is it worrying? Is it not being able to get something done because you're too anxious of the outcome? Is it hiding? Is it not speaking your true mind because you're worried of hurting somebody's feelings? Is it feeling too much, taking in too much of everybody else's emotions and not filling your cup up because you're too worried about how somebody else feels? Think about it. What's one trait that you have from anxiety that you've been shaming yourself for that you can now reframe as a strength? Whether it's one of the 5 we just talked about or a new one. Because you know what? The best part about our superhero power of anxiety is we are learning super strengths more and more every day. And they pop up with every anxiety bout we battle through every time. When you start to reframe that strength and you start to realize that that trait that you were shaming yourself for, the ones that you are thinking of right now, are actually a strength, I challenge you to write them down. Say it out loud, see it, and lock it in. Because that's the beginning of flipping the script. I challenge you to take that paper, pin it up next to the mirror that you see every day you wake up in the morning, in your car, wherever it is that you're going to continuously see it, and remind yourself that that trait that you used to bully yourself for on a daily basis, or heck, if you're like me, on an hour basis, is the biggest superpower that you can brag about to this day. And the reason you are you. And guess what? Only 1 in 5 Americans have that power. Just remember that. And out of the billions of people in the world, only 300 million of them have that power, my friends. So now that we've talked about the superhero characteristics of having anxiety and what those look like, I want to focus on flipping the script and channeling that anxiety. And not just channeling it to kind of hide it, but channeling it to work through it and really start to think about it, okay? So, how do we actually channel anxiety? How do we turn anxiety into action instead of letting it paralyze us? Because that's the big factor. Is a lot of us with anxiety, rather than taking the time to allow it to sit in and really use it as a power, we let it hinder us, right? And paralyze us to the point that we can't get up, we can't speak, we can't walk, we just hide, right? Because it's easier to keep those emotions in and distract ourselves than to fight through, let alone use them as strengths, right? So let's walk through a couple of strategies. There's 4 to be exact that I have. Number 1, I need you to name it. Name your anxiety. Name that characteristic and don't shame it. When you feel anxiety rising, instead of saying, oh, God, why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? Why do I always got to psych myself out? Why do I have to worry so much? Why do I have to feel so much? I need you to sit there and look at it and say, I'm anxious because I care. When you feel yourself start to get into an anxious bout, even if it's only a singular feeling, I need you to take the time to stop yourself in your tracks and say, I am anxious because I care so much. Sit there. Say it to yourself. Okay, I'll do it with you because right now I'm sitting here with so much anxiety talking about this podcast, something that I have dreamed about since I was a kid, that I am so anxious about being a flop. And rather than sitting here saying that and genuinely feel it, I'm going to say, you know what? I am so anxious about this podcast. I am so anxious about what I have to say because I truly care so much and I know how life-changing these things, these strategies, and these mind shift flips can be. And once you say that to yourself, that tiny little sentence will change everything. And the switch has officially flipped. And you'll feel so free and so light. Trust me. Okay, number 2, channel that energy. Anxiety equals energy. So let it move. Go for a walk. Dance it out. In the living room, look like a total moron like you did when you were a kid. Dance like nobody is watching and write down every single thing that's on your mind. Prep for the time you're nervous. Prep for the things you're nervous about. Energy wants direction, so give it direction. When you feel your energy is being wasted on negative thinking due to your anxiety, redirect it. Use it as a fuel. Use that energy to express those emotions through movement, through writing them out on a page, through yelling them into a pillow, whatever it takes to express those, and use that energy that you would normally waste on being negative from your anxiety and use it to release it. Release that negativity. Release it. And the weight that you will feel be lifted off your shoulders and your entire body will be immense. You'll be as light as a feather and filled with so much new perspective and positivity behind it. Trust me. Use that energy for good and redirect it. 3, anchor practices. When the energy feels overwhelming, bring yourself back to the present. So, for me, I do this in a couple of ways. During the best summer months, the months where I can clearly go outside and not be freezing to death, I will go outside. I will place my feet in the ground, in the grass, and I will take a seat. And I will physically ground myself to the most natural thing we have, and that is earth, right? Ground yourself. Sit down, read a book, write on a page, take a drink. Bring yourself back to the present. Try breath work. If you've ever done box breathing, it's my absolute favorite thing in the world. So you're breathing in, you inhale for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Or grounding can be naming 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. Find a way to reroute and ground yourself, because what is happening at the end of the day, anxiety is a protective mechanism. It's a fight or flight response. So it's our brain telling us, hey, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. You're feeling this anxious feeling. We literally have to turn it off and find ways to prove, nope, you're okay. You're safe. Everything will be fine. And sometimes for me, grounding is literally telling myself, no, you're okay. You're safe. You're not in danger. And reminding myself of those things. You have to not trick your brain, but re-educate your brain that there is no reason to be anxious. No reason to be anxious. Just because you care doesn't mean you have to have a freak out. Just redirect that energy. Okay? Redirect it. Or you can journal. What is my anxiety trying to protect me from today? Because again, it's always trying to protect you. So take a minute, write down that journal response. And there's honestly a ton of amazing journal entries on ways to decompress your anxiety when you start to feel about coming on. But take the time to physically do it. And what I challenge you to do is when you are trying to ground yourself in moments of anxiety, that is when you want to do something that is extremely physical and you can physically see it, touch it, feel it, do something that you are not only just saying it to yourself and reminding yourself, but physically seeing those emotions release and reminding yourself that no, you are okay. Everything's okay. Right? So, the last one I would like to share, number 4, celebrate the signal instead of resenting your anxiety. Say, this must mean this matters to me. I'm anxious, I'm worried, and I'm concerned because this matters to me. That job interview, that speech, that TikTok video, that relationship, that hard conversation you have to have with a family or a friend. Anxiety only shows up where your heart is invested. So remind yourself of that. I'm only getting nervous. I'm only getting anxious. I'm only stressing out because this matters. And this means it's pointing you toward a purposeful route. This means you have a purpose. You're only anxious because you care, right? Think about it. Anxiety does not come up when you don't care. When you don't care about something, not only are you careless, but you're like, oh, whatever. That happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Doesn't really bother me, right? There is no sense of stress, no sense of anxiety, no sense of worry, no needing to talk yourself off a ledge, none of that. So maybe, just maybe, in these moments of anxiety, it's your compass pointing you toward what matters absolute most to you. Whether that's a goal, a family, or a friend, it does not matter. It is your compass pointing north to the thing that you care about the deepest. Whether you admit it or not, or whether you even know or not, your anxiety does. Trust the process and trust it. Okay, now let's take a little bit of a breather. Let's lighten it a little bit. Let me give you a pep talk because if y'all know anything about me, I absolutely love being able to uplift your spirits. And the purpose of the Cheer Theory podcast, my friends, is to sit down and realize that the power of cheering for ourselves and for each other is the cure to all. So in these moments of anxiety, these are the moments where cheering on yourself are the most important. All right, huddle up, team. Let's go. If you take nothing else from this episode, nothing at all, let it be this: anxiety does not make you broken, it makes you aware, it makes you alive, it makes you deeply and beautifully human. And it is a direct reflection of how much you are invested and care in what you are anxious about. Your sensitivity, that's your strength. Your worry, that's your wisdom. Your restlessness energy that just keeps on moving, that's your fuel. So instead of trying to silence it, you have all of the compartments you need to launch yourself up into the next direction, your next point of north. Trust it. I want you to imagine the anxiety as your inner cheer squad, or for us, your cheer crew. Sometimes it's a little too loud. Sure. Sometimes we get a little excited. Sure. Sometimes it gets disappointed. Sure. Sometimes it's so strong you can't even control it. Sure. But it's always on your side. It's always trying to protect you. It's saying, hey, this matters. You can do this. You've got this. So trust it. So here's what I need for you. Close your eyes for a second and picture yourself putting on a superhero cape, woven from every anxious thought, bright red with your initial on the back claiming to be yours. Remember that that cape, woven from every anxious thought that you've ever tried to protect yourself from, that's not weakness. That's armor. That's power. That is what makes you you. Always. Always, always, always. And remember, you are a beautiful rarity. Not everyone has the superpower of anxiety. Not everyone gets to walk around with their own custom cape. And not everyone gets to proudly say they can empathize, they can show compassion, they can love, and they can care as strongly as you do. So, friends, before we wrap up, I have a challenge for you this week. The next time anxiety pops up, instead of saying, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Reframe just one anxious moment into a signal of strength. And when it feels like it is so strong, pause and say, it's strong because I care. I'm feeling this way because I care. And friends, if this episode gave you even a little hope today, share it with someone who needs it. Remind them that they are not alone. Remind them that they too have a cape woven in their anxious thoughts that are truly their superpower. Let's spread this message. Let's break the stigma. Let's break the negativity associated with anxiety. And let's stand there in our power pose with our hands on our hips, our proudly wearing capes blowing in that wind. And let's end the story on anxiety and the negative components targeted towards it. And let's start a new one. And you know what? The only person who can write the next chapter and start over on the definitional book of anxiety is you. You are the only one. And remember, when you feel anxious, when you have anxiety, you have to cheer yourself on. And cheering on yourself is just as important as cheering on others. And in those moments of anxiousness, those are when you have to stand up, stand proud, and cheer on yourself more than ever before. Don't forget it. And friends, when you come across another friend, family, or stranger, and you see them trying to hide that cape, you better pull that back out. Make sure they are wearing it proudly. Stand right there next to them with your hands in your power pose. Cheer them on and remind them that they too are a superhero of anxiety. And until next time, friends, keep being the cheerleader that you always wanted and keep being the force of cheer that this world needs. Bye, y'all.